we saw the new logo for Thunderbolts, right? It is now, if you guys remember originally, it was this, it was a more different font. It looked very like, what's the word I'm looking for? Rustic.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Infinity War type like style to it.
Yeah, it looked cool. You know, it was the brown. It looked or more copper color. It looked good. Felt very Thunderbolts. Now we got an updated logo. It is the most plain looking font. I swear it just might be Times New Roman, and it's just Thunderbolts. But aside from it being yellow and a very boring font, they have now added an asterisk, right?
Yeah.
In the title. Apparently, it has story implications, according to Kevin Feige. Gents, yeah, we kind of talked about it. We know that this is a huge downgrade in terms of logos. But what do you guys think this updated logo really means in terms of the movie? Let's throw our way too early year out predictions for what the logo means.
Oh. Spider-Man, do you have a thought? I don't want to steal your thunder. No pun intended.
It's a star. That means we didn't think this movie through all the way. Just disregard it. It doesn't matter.
Like it's like Kevin Feige sent a text and he's like, "Hey, we got a new movie that we're gonna start developing. It's called The Replacements." And they're like, "What?" And he's like, "Oh, my bad. I'm Thunderbolts." Asterisk. Oops. This movie feels like it's going to be exactly like the font. Plain, boring. I have my hype level, I think, is decreased when I saw that. I was like, ooh, Thunderbolts news. I heard people talking about it and I was like, oh, let me see what it looks like. I thought that people just posted up kind of like some like bootleg AI bogus photo. And I was like, that can't be it. And I was like, oh my gosh, it really is it. Okay, we're doing it.
It's weird. It reminds me of the Hawkeye font and logo.
Oh
A
yeah.
little bit, but like I don't know.
More boring.
Yeah.
Hawkeye at least
Actually,
went
legit,
with
it's
the
like the same as the Hawkeye logo. Or as the
yeah.
Hawkeye.
They made it cool though, and like paid homage to kind of some creators who
Yeah,
were
that
attached to
little
like the
arrow.
product. Like it had a little bit more to it, but Thunderbolts ain't shaping up to look too good.
I feel like we need an MCU redo this before it even comes out.
No, I'd redo the cast in a heartbeat still.
Yeah, the cast you definitely can't. I don't know, man. It just, with as much change as this movie's gone, right? I think the logo is just kind of the huge indicator that this movie, I don't think, is the same. It's not the same story they had planned for when they originally announced this, right? Because I think this was supposed to close out Phase 5, right?
Thought that was supposed to be the end of Phase 5, yeah.
And now it's launching kind of midway through, I would say, mid to late way through. And it still has a couple other movies ahead of it. It's very weird. It's super weird. I just think that it's indicative of the change that it's gone through. I feel like story-wise, they're probably just going to say like, oh, it's a Black Ops team. So, you know, they're trying to like redact it in some way. But I don't know. I would not be surprised if the cast of characters changes. I know they showed that one picture of everybody, and I know that Yelena's still there, and I bet your bigger players are still there. You know, Yelena, Bucky, Red Guardian. I wouldn't be surprised if we see certain changes.
I kind of hope they have changes. Obviously, they're filming now in Georgia, Atlanta, I believe. We'll see what comes out. Good friend of the show, Daniel RPK asterisk. He probably will have something. And you know what's funny? I know this isn't news that we have on here, but there are more thoughts and leaks around Captain America Brave New World, and that going back to the initial rumors of these two movies are going to tie together. I don't know. I still think it's junk. I really think people are going to insert so many rumors to make this sound better than it's going to be. Early, super early prediction. This may be the worst MCU movie in terms of box office and score.
Damn.
Do you think it'll be the worst in terms of story though? Because before you answer, I agree with you. I think box office is going to be trash, and I think ratings wise, it's probably going to be on the lower end. But I guarantee it's going to be down to the marketing of this film, because right now it doesn't feel good. And unless this trailer comes out and is the best thing that we've ever seen in our life, I don't see that changing.
Yeah, no. And the only reason why I'm going to say no is I like Yelena, but I have not loved the storylines that Yelena has been a part of. And if she is going to be the focal point of the Thunderbolts and kind of be the lead of the team, where Bucky falls into that supplemental role and isn't having as much screen time as we hope he does, I have yet to see them really throw a good Yelena storyline out there, because we've seen her, 3 projects?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fair. Spider-Man, no?
I was gonna say, I have somewhat of a theory on the star now. So you know how Falcon and Winter Soldier came out, and by the end of it, they kind of like changed it to Cap and the Winter Soldier. You think the star is them ostracizing it to potentially having like a little like a name change by the end of the movie?
Yeah, good point. Maybe.
That's better than what I'm hoping. I think it's going to be
Yeah.
something so dumb.
But I do think it'll be like oh, I just thought of something cringe. I remember that rumor with how the team name gets formed because of its like Yelena's
Soccer
younger
team.
soccer team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet it's like Thunderbolt Ross coming up with this name, but then her also coming up with the name and just slapping like she slaps a star on it because that was her idea. I bet that's what it is.
I won't. Even if that feels very possible, this for me, this has turned into a mini deep dive. So you guys are welcome for
Yeah.
all the point through knowledge. This is one of those where I'm gonna lean into my Marvel fanboyness and my toxic MCU mindset and just say, I don't care what they do. This should stem from Thunderbolt Ross, period. This should be the MCU version of the Suicide Squad, period. This is not a fun change from Marvel Studios. I don't care for it. And I think by default, I'm going to have like a -5. This could be a 10 out of 10, and I'm going to be like, it's a 5 out of 10. Just because I just, they have to win me over. This has to be a 15 out of 10, and it won't be.
Yeah, I have a question in regards to that, but I have another point in what you said about the Suicide Squad. And I know we're doing this very weird dive into logos, but if you look at the Suicide Squad logo, it really conveys the idea of what the team is. And I know some people are probably like nerds, and it's like, yes, we are. But when you look at the Suicide Squad logo and you look, it is a more basic, logo. It's just the Suicide Squad. It's white outlined in black, but the suicide is all dirty and like shot up. So it adds personality to it. This new logo doesn't feel like there's any personality in it whatsoever. And that
feel
sucks.
no redemption.
And it sucks because again, it feels like such a huge downgrade from the other one that had a little more. So, anyways, my one last question before we move away from the topic of Thunderbolts. What does this movie have to do for you guys? Excuse me. What does this movie have to do for you guys to consider it a success? Besides box office, right? Because we know that that's its own separate question, and I feel like, or that's a whole separate thing, right? And I feel like we can't place that kind of expectation on this movie. But story wise, what does this movie need to do to be successful and for us to look back on it and be like, yes, Thunderbolts was actually good? Because right now it feels like the most throwaway thing that Marvel's ever produced.
I would like to see this. The only way this movie could be a success if it puts closure on a lot of these people's storylines that were opened up for no reason. Like we got Taskmaster and Black Widow. Just I don't need to see like 4 projects with them. We don't need to see like 4 projects with Red Guardian. We already got 2 projects with Ghost. Bucky. I would like to see some closure for Bucky. And US Agent, I don't know. I'd like to see a little more from him. But like honestly, just have them all get closed out in this movie and just call it. Except for Yelena.
Ooh, this is tough because now we're getting into where I feel like I could ramble on this. I'm gonna try to make this as short as possible, and this kind of piggybacks off of what you're saying, and maybe might tie into what you would say, Hero. But I think this needs to be a combination of like they were chosen because they have no value, and they're just kind of throwaways because what they're gonna do probably is a life or death type of scenario. I really hope it centers around Sentry. And the only way that I can see Sentry being put on the map to feel bigger than a Thor or a Hulk, or really like elevate over Namor, I would need Bucky dead, US Agent dead, Taskmaster dead, Red Guardian dead, Val dead. Like every single one of those characters. Did I say dead too many times for a live stream? Dang, maybe. Oops.
Oopsie.
I think the only one who would really stand tall and survive, and I think this would make them a very they're a likable character, but I think this would elevate them, would be Yelena. If she's the one that can kind of live and survive a Sentry attack in the end, and it comes down to some core heroes pop in, or the real Avengers team gets introduced here, and we get the introduction of the actual Avengers by the end of this movie, and they kind of pop in and save the day. 1, because we have no Avengers team. That'd be kind of dope. 2, we would have Sentry. 3, we would have no more Thunderbolts, and we'd wrap up loose ends. And then 4, the people on the inside kind of get exposed, and we move this street level story to, Secret Wars, giving us better characters and establishing an Avengers team. I think this would be one where stakes can be really high by Lizard leaguing the Thunderbolts.
Ooh, I like that analogy.
Yeah. Shout out Invincible.
If you know,
Season
you
2.
know. Oh yeah.
Great points to both you guys. I think they definitely do need to do a combination of those two things, right? Honestly, if it were me, you have Thunderbolt Ross be the central villain of a three-part film event. It would start in Cap, what's it called, Brave New World.
Mm-hmm.
Go into Thunderbolts, and then probably another film.
Mm-hmm.
This would be the middle part, and I would say you just have kind of like what you were saying. I don't know if you can kill everybody, right? But if you write off a good majority of the team by the end of it, like Thunderbolt Ross intentionally sacrificing them, to gain something else, I think that would be fantastic. That would be a great story to tell. You learn, you grow with these characters only to have them ripped away. It would be very different for Marvel as well if they did it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're going to, though.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if what we've seen from Daniel RPK's, rumors about the film and everything, are to be believed. So it's weird because I don't, even though I asked the question, right? I don't know what I want with this film.
Mm-hmm.
I want it to surprise me. I do. But hearing like everything around it and then what's coming before it with Brave New World and how there's a lot of rumors that Red Hulk is kind of a one shot, like a one and done. And it's like,
That's
dang, that
yeah,
sucks.
yeah.
And it immediately throws me into a loop because I'm like, I don't know what else you do with this thing. So I don't know. I don't know what I want, but I want it to be good. And I hope it impresses me. I just want them to drop something story related.
At minimum, I almost feel that this should be a Civil War 2. And I just, my thing of knowing like a Red Hulk really probably is not going to be there. The next best thing for me to feel like this is pretty big would be some sort of infiltration or invasion of Wakanda, like we've always kind of said since the end of Wakanda Forever. And when they finally get to the final piece to kind of break in there, the door opens and you got Shuri, Sam, Shang-Chi, She-Hulk, somebody. Like, you got 5 or 6 characters that are like, what are you guys doing? Like, we're gonna stop you. And if they don't eventually, die off, then they get captured and imprisoned, and like maybe that can start the true run of what a Thunderbolts team would feel like. I don't know. It just, even that, it just mid-tier at best. I hate saying that, but those feel so far-fetched of like cool ideas that they can do. I don't know.
We'll see. We'll see. We got a long way to go till we see this movie, and I'm sure this will not be the last time that we talk about it.